You're watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live, presented by AutoList. It is time. I'm breaking out my crystal ball here, ladies and gentlemen, predicting the regular season, going through division by division, telling you who will win each. And we start things off in the AFC East. Death, taxes, the New England Patriots will win the AFC East. You tell me who will compete for this division outside of New England. I'll wait. There's nothing much there. The Jets have some promise. I think they'll be good this year, but they won't come close to the Patriots. The Dolphins, I have no idea what that franchise is doing. And then the Buffalo Bills just traded away their best quarterback in A.J. McCarron, and now they're using Nathan Peterman as their starter, so they know they're not going anywhere. So here you go. My full-on list for the AFC East. New England at 1, the Jets at 2, Miami at 3. I bumped them up from last, guys. I'm confident in Miami a little more now than I was earlier, and maybe that's more of an indictment, too, on Buffalo trading away A.J. McCarron, because when Nathan Peterman is your starter, I can't put the Bills anywhere but last. I think Tannehill will be okay this year for the Miami Dolphins, by the way, coming off an ACL injury. I think Kenny Stills will have a good year. Frank Gore, of course, still churning those legs. Kenyon Drake is an interesting guy. And then the defense has an intriguing secondary there with Jones, pretty good safety back there, and they're making things work with Bobby McCain and everything. So Miami finishes third. New England will finish first. They will be, I'll tell you right here, right now, the #1 seed in the AFC, because you'll notice something. There is just a lack of competition in the AFC compared to the NFC. And when I get to my playoff predictions, you'll see that, and I'll talk about it more, because the AFC is just watered down. It's New England, it's Pittsburgh, it's maybe Jacksonville, and that's it. Now, there are some compelling breakout teams in the AFC this year. The Chargers, sure. The Tennessee Titans as well. I like them a lot. If you're a frequent watcher of the show, you know I like Tennessee. And maybe the Denver Broncos as well, you know? So compelling breakout teams, but nobody that strikes me and says, oh my God, this team's going to challenge New England for the #1 team or the #1 seed. Just don't think it's going to happen. Jets, meanwhile, starting Sam Darnold. You would think week 1, that is seemingly the plan for the Jets. I think it's a good one at that. He has been very good in the preseason. Why not usher him out there? You traded away Teddy Bridgewater. Josh McCown can still teach Darnold, but Darnold can also learn during the regular season. So, full-on predictions for the AFC East: New England, New York, Miami, and the Buffalo Bills. Danny on YouTube Live saying that the Jags are better than Pittsburgh. Yeah, I could see that because, well, Pittsburgh lost to the Jaguars twice last year. But that said, I still have more confidence in Ben Roethlisberger over Blake Bortles. All right, so AFC North now. Who wins? I got the Pittsburgh Steelers projected record there at the bottom of your screen, 10-6. By the way, New England 12-4 for my projected record there you saw on your screen earlier. Look, the AFC North, it's going to Pittsburgh. I think the Steelers will get a bye week. They'll be the #2 seed in the AFC as well. The Ravens will be in hot pursuit, I think, with Pittsburgh this season. But when it's all said and done, the Steelers are going to win that division. I think the Ravens will finish second. And then you got the Cleveland Browns finishing third. That's right, over the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't feel great about that prediction there, but I really like what Cleveland is doing right now. I mean, GM John Dorsey is doing everything he possibly can to not go 0-16. I mean, the Browns were even asking about Khalil Mack. Could you have imagined if Khalil Mack and Myles Garrett were on that defensive line? Would have been insane. Insane. So, look, Marvin Lewis, this is kind of an indictment on him because he should not be a head coach in the National Football League anymore, to be honest with you. And the fact that he is just amazes me. So I'm out on Marvin. I think Dalton has just an okay season. The Bengals' offensive line stinks. And so in that regard, I put Cincinnati last. I think the defense will be pretty interesting this year for the Bengals. But how many wins can that get you? 4? 5? I think Cleveland can win 6 games this year, maybe even 7, to be honest with you. But Pittsburgh, They're going to finish first, likely because of these guys. Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. Those are your killer bees there. Cam Hayward, I like a lot, coming around the edge. And I want to give some love to an offensive lineman in David DeCastro, one of the premier guards out there in the National Football League. I like him a lot. All right, folks, I want to give a shout-out to Mizzen and Maine. I am sporting one of their shirts right now. You can get one for yourselves out there. Comfortable.af is indeed the website. No ironing needed at all. Really cool fabric, sweat-wicking technology. I am a sweater. I am in Dallas. It is hot. This is perfect for me. Get it done, folks. Comfortable.af. Products made right here in America, by the way. It's a booming economy out there in America. Go ahead and spend on Mizzen and Maine. All right, so New England wins the East. Pittsburgh wins the North. Who wins the South? Not Jacksonville. The Tennessee Titans, guys. I love this team this year. Love it. Now, I base my predictions a lot of times off of teams that win the line of scrimmage. The Tennessee Titans will win the line of scrimmage this year. They have a rock-solid offensive line with Lewan and Conklin. Love those tackles. Good interior as well. Really good front seven with Derek Morgan and Brian Arakpo and Rashaan Evans, whom they drafted out of Alabama, of course. The secondary with Malcolm Butler, right? Adoree Jackson is there as well. So there is a compelling argument to be made that the Tennessee Titans will capture the AFC South. Derrick Henry is there. I love Dion Lewis, by the way. I think offensive coordinator Matt LaFleur, who comes on over from L.A., has a bit of a problem on his hands in terms of how he is going to divvy up carries between Dion Lewis and Derrick Henry, right? And then you have new head coach Mike Vrabel, who I think is a little too young to be a head coach, to be honest with you, but good mind. Well coached from his days with Bill O'Brien in Houston. So I think he'll do a good job with the Tennessee Titans. Now, how does the AFC South shake out? Jacksonville will finish second, followed by Houston and then the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are in full-on rebuild mode right now. I know people out there are like, well, maybe Andrew Luck can take them to the playoffs. I don't think so. I mean, that talent is just non-existent right now for Indianapolis on that roster. Houston's going to be an interesting team. Guys, this will be a very competitive division among those three teams there, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Houston. The problem with Houston is I don't know where pass protection is going to come from. Outside of Dwayne Brown's no longer there. There's nobody on this front line for Houston that really tells me, oh yeah, I can rely on him to block. The front five for Houston is just not very good. So Jacksonville, they have an elite defense. I love the pieces that they have with Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye and Malik Jackson, and the list goes on, of course. Yannick Ngakoue, the former Maryland Terrapin. Leonard Fournette is your guy in the backfield. They get Andrew Norwell as well via free agency. So Jacksonville is going to have a very compelling argument as well to be a playoff team, but I don't think they win the division. Tennessee Titans are going to win the division. Watch out for this team this year. Is Marcus Mariota ready to make that next step, beat a Pittsburgh or a New England? Probably not yet, but they're getting there. So watch out for that team. Now, I talked about the Raiders earlier in the show and how they totally just botched the Khalil Mack situation. I believe it was a month and a half ago. I said the Raiders were Super Bowl ready. Now they trade away their franchise player. I don't know what they're doing. So the winner of the AFC West will not be the Oakland Raiders. It'll be this team, the Denver Broncos. Projected record of 9-7. Book it, signed, sealed, and delivered. See, guys, I am not riding the media hype wave of the LA Chargers. The LA Chargers have not won the division since 2009. The LA Chargers have been the perennial 8-8, 9-7, barely getting into the playoffs type of team, and if they do get into the playoffs, it's because some other team chokes it. Remember the Baltimore Ravens did it a couple years ago. So, Denver. Case Keenum is now the quarterback. Compelling wide receiver core. Everybody's saying, wait, what, in the comments section. Hear me out. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Courtland Sutton, who's really emerging. Royce Freeman, I like a lot. And a defensive front seven and secondary, really, that can ball out. Darian Stewart back there at safety. Chris Harris as well. Bradley Roby at cornerback too. Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, Brandon Marshall on that front seven. The Denver Broncos will win football games because of their defense and also because Case Keenum is now playing quarterback. We're not talking about Paxton Lynch anymore. We're not talking about Brock Osweiler anymore. Case Keenum is a solid quarterback. He took his Vikings deep into the postseason. So in that vein, I like Denver more because they have less question marks. The Raiders have a ton of question marks. The Chiefs have a ton of question marks because who the heck knows how Patrick Mahomes will perform. By the way, I want to give a shout out to my guy, Liberals Are Icky on YouTube Live. Cam, you know zero about football. Denver will struggle on defense because they have a slew of unproven defensive coaches. Unproven defensive coaches? So that's the reason why they're going to struggle, not because they have ultimate talent on that side of the ball with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, and the list goes on. Interesting. Now, I will note, Liberals Are Icky here on YouTube Live is a Raiders fan. So here are the standings in the AFC West. Denver, LA, Oakland, Kansas City. I will finish up my discussion on this with saying that the AFC West will be very, very competitive. And I could see this changing around. Maybe LA wins the division. Maybe KC finishes second or third. People are saying KC is going to win the West. Sorry, guys, they're not. I looked into the future. I came back. The Chiefs are not the winners of the AFC West. That is a fact. Who will win, though? Go ahead and comment away anyway. But I'll tell you this much. Denver will win at 9-7. I think it's just going to be a civil war in that division where the Chargers, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chiefs all beat up on each other, and the team that comes out on top will be Denver. Book it. All right, let's go to the NFC side of things here. Talk about the NFC East. I think the Philadelphia Eagles win at 11-5. Love the defense, that front line there with Timmy Jernigan and Michael Bennett now in town as well. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, the list goes on. The Eagles don't even have to blitz. That is the beauty of that defense. Bring four, and they get after the quarterback. Now, there is a possibility that Philadelphia takes a step back, and a team like the Dallas Cowboys could win the NFC East. Here is my problem with Dallas. Travis Frederick. If he is out for the entire year, boy, that is an issue. Because A, that's an issue for Dak Prescott. From a continuity standpoint, you lose your center. And B, that's an issue from an Ezekiel Elliott perspective, because how much success will Elliott have on the interior now with Frederick gone? And, of course, Zach Martin has proven to be an injury liability this offseason as well. So Dallas at 2, I still think they finished second. The Giants finished third. The Giants are that team that can just pop out of nowhere, and I don't know what happens. Maybe they can win the division. I just don't have faith in this offensive line. They're like sending away some of their starters via trades and cutting them and sending them on waivers. I don't get it. Washington finishes fourth. I have my concerns about that third down defense and that run defense. It should be better, but it was really bad in 2017. How much better does it get in 2018 remains to be seen. So Philadelphia finishes first in the NFC East. Let's take a look at the NFC North here. And this is a team I like a lot. The Minnesota Vikings go 13-3, maybe the best team in the National Football League. You tell me where the weakness is on that defensive side. I'll wait. You look at the secondary, Xavier Rhodes and Harrison Smith. Andrew Sendejo I like a lot. The linebacking core led by Anthony Barr. You got the front seven, or that front line there with Linval Joseph and Everson Griffin. I mean, the Vikings are going to ball out on the defensive side this year. And then you look to the offense, Captain Kirk at the quarterback position, Dalvin Cook coming back from injury, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph. This is a loaded team. So the Minnesota Vikings will win the NFC North, which means Green Bay finishes second. How about this? I got Chicago at 3. Originally had them last, and then Khalil Mack happened. Got to put them at 3. And I like all these teams, to be honest with you. I think Detroit will be a better team this year than they were last year. It may not be in the win column per se, but I think they will look like a better team, if that makes any sense. Because I think they have a run game solidified now. It may take some time, though, for that to actually come to fruition from an execution standpoint. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers is the guy. Devontae Adams at wide receiver as well. Jimmy Graham, interesting name to watch out for at tight end this year for the Packers. I just think that Minnesota is going to sweep Green Bay this year, and that's all they'll need. All right, so that's the deal there with the NFC North. I want to give a shout out to Autolist as well here on the Cam Rogers Show. Coming up soon, my NFL playoff predictions. We'll get to a couple divisions here first, though. Autolist, what do? Go to Autolist.com to browse the largest source of car inventory on the web, or download their top-rated mobile app for iPhone or Android today. We thank them for sponsoring the show. All right, let's get to the NFC South here. We've got the New Orleans Saints, projected record at 11-5. Really like this team. Defense, special teams, and obviously the offense. The offensive line is great, led by Ramczyk and company. Andrews Pete as well. Drew Brees at quarterback. Michael Thomas may be a top 5 wide receiver this year. Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram. And oh yeah, they got Mike Gillislee off waivers. Thanks, Patriots. So that's a loaded backfield. You got a fresh Drew Brees. Why is he fresh? Because the Saints don't have to rely on Drew throwing the football 45 to 55 times a game. That's no longer the case. Run the rock with Kamara, with Ingram, with Gillislee if you want, and then utilize Drew Brees 25, 27 times a game throwing the football. Play action down the field to Michael Thomas, to Ted Ginn, to Ben Watson, who's now at tight end there for the New Orleans Saints. Really tough division to predict here, guys. We had 3 playoff teams a year ago. I think there's only 2 this year. Saints at 1, Falcons at 2. Really love that roster. Carolina at 3. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers finishing last. I'm done with Tampa Bay. I liked them last year, and they burned me. Dirk Cutter is not a good head coach. Fire Dirk Cutter now. But that's how I see the NFC South shaking out there. One more division to get to. Who wins the NFC West? This one goes to the LA Rams. Projected record at 12-4. There is a very real argument to be made that this team will win Super Bowl 53. The secondary is elite with LaMarcus Joyner and Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib. And are you kidding me? That defensive interior there with Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. And oh, by the way, this was the #1 scoring offense in 2017, and you still have the same cast of characters and then some because Brandon Cooks is there at wide receiver. There is no reason to pick any other team in this division. I'm sorry, 49ers fans out there. I know a lot of you guys watch the 49ers Report. I'm the host of that as well. I got to be real with you guys. That's what I do. I keep it real. That's how I see the division finishing out there in the NFC West. Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, Seattle stinks. They're just bad. They're not a good football team. They can't block for the life of them. And that's kind of like the most fundamental thing in football is blocking. They can't do it. So Seattle finishes last of that division there. The Rams will be a top-line seed in the NFC. All right, so stay tuned for that in the regular season because they're going to be a compelling team to watch. Fun team to watch in general.